move on and we can talk about Everton, Pete. Now, can you give us an update, please, on 777 Partners takeover? It sounds like Mashiri actually has offered a surprise extension at the club.
Yeah, there's more twists and turns to this than there is in a soap opera. This 777 Partners thing, it's getting a bit boring now. Really, I don't know what's going on.
Farhad Mashiri, when you play with other people's money, isn't it? That's what it is.
It is.
When you've got other people's money to play with.
But yeah, it's obviously playing with Everton's future as well. I think really because they need this situation sorted. It should have been resolved a long time ago, but hasn't. But yeah, as you said, Lewis, Farhad Mashiri's extended the timeline for 777 Partners to complete this takeover until the end of May. They initially wanted it to be completed in mid-April, but that was extended again. They've got this big loan to repay as well to MSP Sports Capital, which obviously they took from them to help fund the club and also to help finish off the new stadium at Bramley-Moore Dock as well. It's just so much uncertainty, confusion around 777 Partners. It's just negativity surrounding that whole investment group. I think there's some reports just coming out of Brazil recently that a court in Rio de Janeiro has suspended 777 Partners as ownership of Brazilian club Vasco da Gama. That's not good signs. The red flags are there. The warning signs are there. There's issues at another of the clubs that they've got ownership in, Standard Liège, with a transfer ban on them, and players not getting paid, protests amongst the fans as well. For me, Farhad Mashiri seems to be clutching at more straws than a scarecrow right now with this deal. It's just absolutely crazy that he's given them an extra month now to try and get it done. They didn't have the money to repay the loan, I think, by April the 15th. So that was given an extension as well. Nothing's been done since that as well. So I think for Everton right now, they need a direction, they need a plan, they need some positive news. And I don't think they're getting anything positive from extending this timeline to try and get this deal done by 777 Partners. So I think best thing is to move on and see if they can find a prospective new owner who will take the club forward.
I mean, Paul, what do you make of the general census amongst Evertonians? Do you think they want to proceed with 777, or actually do you think they're looking at different ownership? Where do you think the board differ in terms of their opinion to the fan base?
You feel for the fan base, don't you? You really do. I mean, I've said to you before, I like Everton. I keep a close eye on Everton because one of my heroes was Neville Southall as a kid. So Everton's always been a club that I look out for, and a lot of my good friends are Evertonians as well. And I think you're at a point now where we talk about this weekly. We hear everything about 777. You hear about the different businesses that they've got, the liquidation, their assets being frozen here, there, and everywhere. Now, the biggest thing from a fan's point of view is the most important thing is, one, your club is stable, but two, you can compete on the pitch. And this deal being put back by another month, where does that leave Sean Dyche with his transfer budget? Where does that leave the recruitment at the club? He doesn't know who can stay, who can go, what budget he's got to spend next season. It's just more and more uncertainty, and it just seems like it's frying pan to frying pan to frying pan, isn't it? You know, the old saying, frying pan to fire. But they just seem to keep jumping into different forms of it. I mean, it's incredible. It's non-stop for Everton. It's one thing after another, and it's the fans who, you're not privy to information. You're told what people want you to hear. So what 777 will say in statements, what Mashiri will say in statements, what the club will say, you're fed information as to what that person or that group or that company want you to know. And as fans, you're always, and fans and players, you're not 9 times out of 10, you're the last to know. And I just think it's just been going on so long for Everton. You just want some kind of resolve for them. I think even the most neutral football fan would say that they feel for Everton and the way that their club's been run and the way that it's ended up. And you look at them now and you think, okay, if the takeover goes, what's next? They're looking at a points deduction again next season. It just needs resolving, because the longer this goes, the debt they're carrying, the 10th of June we know is the date for the accounts to be submitted. So if another set of accounts are submitted that don't meet the FFP and PSR rules, then what for Everton? Then the takeover still hasn't happened by this point. It's just one thing after another, and I think it's the not knowing, it's the lack of honesty and openness, transparency from the club, from 777 as to where things are. And I think that's the biggest thing that hits fans, because the thing that the fans support, yes, it's the club, but it's the team on the pitch, and nothing can be done and nothing can be improved without the boardroom and the club being in a stable situation.
I mean, Pete, what is the likelihood of a points deduction potentially next season, or any sanctions? Is there talk of that going into the next year? There might be a third breach for them.
Yeah, there's a major risk that could be facing Everton again once these accounts do get filed for the end of June. I think there was, in their latest charge, there was a 6.5 million loan need to be repaid, and obviously the Premier League had brought that to light, and they were looking to punish them for that when they give them their second charge as well. So that's hanging over Everton. Again, lots of people suggesting that they need to sell players before this June 30th deadline for when they file their accounts, just to balance the books as well. The talk of maybe Branthwaite being sold, Onana being sold, potentially others as well. So yeah, I still think there's major risks and fears for Everton that this PSR, FFP charges aren't going to go away, and that potentially they will be going into next season with another charge ready and waiting for them before the new season kicks off in August as well. So they've got this massive loan to be repaid as well. So that's the issue for Everton. It's 158 million, I think. They owe MSP Sports Capital. I think obviously Everton's finances haven't been good for a number of years as well, but yeah, major concerns for the club as well. And if you're an Everton fan, I don't think you could blame players if they were unsettled, thinking, why am I sticking around here? Maybe I want to get out of here for a bit more stability. And even Sean Dyche, why would he want to be staying? He can't make any plans ahead for the summer transfer window, really, with everything that's going on. And I'm sure the job that Sean Dyche has done at Everton, there'll be a number of clubs looking at that going, he could do a job for us. And you couldn't blame him if he was thinking, well, I'm going to potentially leave for a bit of stability and actually knowing what's going on with this club, because like Paul's mentioned, this has dragged on way too long. We're in May now, and I think it was last September that Mashiri agreed to sell his majority stake in the club to 7-7 Partners. A takeover shouldn't take this long. I know it's a protracted situation, but it's just been so much uncertainty and so much confusion. And again, the negativity around 7-7 Partners just sets off alarm bells for me. And this is a big season coming up for Everton. It's their last at Goodison Park. They've obviously done the job this season by staying up, even with those points deductions. So you take your hat off to Sean Dyche and the players for being able to withstand those deductions and still have enough to stay in the Premier League as well. But yeah, they need this stadium finished. They need those loans to be repaid. Otherwise, more issues are just around the corner for Everton.
And Pete, if you had to sort of predict going into the summer, how many sales could we see? Are we expecting one or two major stars? Could we see quite a few go? What would you say going into the window? Well, obviously there will be interest in some of those players. A lot of clubs will be monitoring that situation at Everton very closely. I think if one big name goes, that could go a long way to maybe resolving it. Obviously, they had to do it in the January transfer window 2 Januaries ago when they sold Anthony Gordon to Newcastle for a big fee. That was to help balance the books again. It didn't stop them getting a PSR charge and points deduction. So, yeah, I think the vultures will be circling around Jared Branthwaite, Amadou Onana, Jordan Pickford, potentially others as well. Dwight McNeil's had a good season. I think there'll be clubs maybe looking at him. James Garner. I think for Everton, until these issues get resolved, there's always that risk that they might have to sell players. But yeah, they'll definitely need to sell at least one major star, I think, before June 30th to help balance the books. You've just watched a segment from Football Insider's brand new podcast, The Inside Track, with me, Lewis Pearce, alongside the guests on the show. Thanks very much for tuning in. Please do give the video a like, comment your thoughts on the topic, and feel free to share on your social media pages. If you want to listen to the full podcast episode, click the link in the description below. Keep your eyes peeled for plenty more content and exclusives here on The Inside Track.